Dear YouTube, we are an edutainment channel. Please do not flag me. Everything I do is legal. I know a beach blonde with a bad built body. Please do not flag me. Thanks. Let's get into this.
People talk, rumors fly, and I don't know what is what anymore.
Thank you to joining the shake and bake. Oh, I love it, dude. That's fucking dope. So yeah, we're gonna do like the little extra stuff without Tom, the layman version, for those of us who haven't gone to college or got a lawyer's degree. We're the layman. So if you follow Tom as you follow us, that's better words, you would have signed up and got this email. This email is the comment period, baby. We're here. We're here. We're doing it. We're talking about how to change the rule. Can I make it just me? Can I pull it in? Hey, there we go again. So I wrote a little bit down for a little intro because this is how I feel. This is important. This whole process. We're in the midst of it. You know, there's a lot of like naysayers and negative thought, and that's fine. The thing is, we're not done, right? This is not a mission accomplished thing. This is one step in the whole process. So, like in our two-party system, directives and actions are how you make permanent change in America, right? So, even though some things can be codified, it can be taken away, like Roe versus Wade, right? So, I hope you have some coffee and your personal choice of cannabis consumption handy, and we're going to talk more about like this goddamn comment period, right? So, showed you the email. Let me pull up the actual chinga there. Can you give me a side by side? There we go. Oh fuck yeah, dude! This is dope. So Will's in the background helping out. So you go to that email. You can even go to the DEA website and you can follow the link. But if you follow the email like Tom showed everybody, you'll be clicking right here. Submit a formal comment. This is your time. This is to shine. So far, there's 4,661 comments and more to come. I hope so. You can get the PDF version of things right here, or you can sit here and this is the no shit process, folks. This is how things are going to happen. There's going to be a lot of blah 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 as I scroll through and go through things, but and that's why we're going to have a lawyer, Tom, on Sunday. So stand time. There's a lot to talk about on Sunday besides this thing. This is just the tip of the spear, baby. This is the beginning of legalization, not the end, right? You're descheduling it, rescheduling it. Descheduling be goal. Rescheduling is just what we have to get to where we want to get. You know, I'm just an old activist. I just somebody who's been trying to make change in this goddamn world for over 30 years. So it addresses the dates. They want you. Your deadline is July 22nd. For written comments, and if you want to do, you can do a hearing comment, which I think is kind of neat. I'm not sure if it'd be like a Zoom call or not, but all that procedural stuff is right here. But if you're watching me, if you hear my voice, you can just go all the way to the freaking top and click on submit a formal comment, and we're gonna go through that. What up, John? Hell yeah! Thanks for joining me, guys. You know, as we go through the most boring fucking thing. This is why we don't have nice things. It's the process. The process is convoluted. The kids that were civics class that you made fun of are the ones who are now in charge of the world, right? Like, honestly, a civics class is what we can all use, and then we do use every fucking day. So here I'm going down. We're gonna break down the so posting the public comments. This is all just dry blah blah blahs, right? So talking about how to do it. You want to reference the regulations.gov. It takes you to like, so I was looking for a personal, like, there's always like a catch, right? Like there's always like what did I miss? What dot did not cross or T did I not slash? Like what format? And so far I haven't found any of it. I went to that regulation.gov. There's no special format. And as we go through the comments, you'll see it's pretty much just put down what you feel, put down what you think. And that's what a lot of people did. Some people even put down, like there's several copy and paste campaigns. And, you know, I personally, I've been thinking about the message I want to write. And I hope that you are too. You know, we have a deadline. It's there. Sooner is better to make a comment, right? Sooner is better. But how much information you want to put into it, how much thought, and that's the, because this is people are going to read this, people are going to consider it, right? Um, Here's section part 2. You can request for appearance or the waiver of participation in the hearing. Cool. So it's all about the process. It's all right there through that link. Here comes the nitty gritty. So in this long ass document that we'll be going over on the just the main page here, so the DEA's page does a really good job of laying out, like, it's like a bad book. So like here we are on chapter 3. Let me go back to the first 2 that we just passed. So here we got the biography section, right? Agency, action, dates, addresses. And there we go. Section 1 will be posting of public comments, right? This is how do you do it. Section 2, request for a hearing, notice of public. So that's, again, more of just introduction of how to do things still. Number 3, legal authority. So this lays out the thing that Tom's been talking about this whole time, about how the president doesn't have the right to just say that's legal. That right can be taken again. And again, Roe versus Wade, it was codified. They got taken away. Unfortunately, but also fortunately, in America, there's a system, a legal process, right? Why do we have like 10 different versions of manslaughter and murder, right? There's been documented arguments to justice, which is still, we're not there yet. We're not perfect, but this is pretty fucking close. This is the ball rolling forward. So under the CSA, as it goes about legal authority, the Attorney General shall, before initiating proceedings to control, decontrol, or transfer between schedules a drug or other substance, request from the Secretary of Health and Human Services, HSS, a scientific and medical evaluation. And that happened. That happened because of Joe Biden. That happened because the president took initiative and made a directive. This is how the system should work. Now, people are still going to champion and praise the last farm bill that went through, but that wasn't leadership. That was just like, I don't know if you ever had a bad boss. I don't know if you have a guy who doesn't know what the real job is. He just signs things. That was the last leadership. This one is actually making things happen. So anyways, we'll get more into it. Let's go down. So this is all about the CSA and how the CSA directs the DEA to do things. And so they got the approval from the Health and Humane Services. And then under the CSA, one, recommending or determining that a drug should be controlled, and if so, under which schedule, the secretary, blah, blah, blah. They got these 10 factors, or 8 factors rather. The drug's actual or relative potential for abuse, scientific evidence of its pharmacological effect, if known, the state or current scientific knowledge regarding the drug or other substance, its history and current pattern of abuse, the scope, duration, and significance of abuse, what, if any, risk there is to the public, its psychic or physiological dependence liability, and whether the substance is immediate precursor of a substance already controlled. So these are things that the DEA is going to consider, right? And again, back to the rule process, we're going to go over the document, and the document's a hard read, and ChatGPT helped me break it down. But essentially, as we're going through this is what the document consists of. These different subsections, these different but this is well more coordinated, laid out. Notice all the little hyperlinks that direct you to other policies, right? Like the thing about policy and legislation, it really does make you feel like the conspiracy guy, right? Like you're just like, look over here, left hand has not know about right hand, but then one day they find it, it's just like, dude, it would be easier. There are reasons why we can't have nice things, and sometimes it's because the people who understand the process are assholes, right? They're not looking for your best interest, but this is a ball in the right direction. It's rolling in the right direction when it comes to actually just changing. So they get in here, DEA, and it's still the same. Oh, here we go. Background. Still in the background. DEA and HSS last examined the issue on whether to reschedule marijuana 8 years ago. In 2016, when DEA denied 2 petitions to reschedule marijuana. At the time, HHS concurred that marijuana should remain Schedule 1 drug. So We came close. We came close, right? But why in 2016 did it not go forward? Think about that. Why wasn't that? It wasn't, and there wasn't that much noise. And the reason why you're hearing so much noise now is because there is a good chance that this could happen. There's a good chance that formal legalization will happen. Now, honestly, for my level and as a consumer, doesn't fucking matter. My weed's going to be there, guaranteed, because people who are going to be in the business are going to adapt. And I myself are going to be in the business. Now, by the time I do get in the business, I might not have to adapt. I'm just going to have to it's just going to be another freaking check mark that I have to meet. That's the unfortunate part of this regulatory process is when I used to sell weed when I was 18, it's a lot different than selling weed at 50, to have a store, to do the brickwork, to have employees, to do scheduling, to get investments, to have stock. It's like, what the fuck? I never thought about any of that shit. When I buy a quarter pound, flip it, pay for my weed, and then have enough money to buy another quarter pound for later. I pretty much just self-sustain myself. Anyways, now we're on to section 5. This is the proposal to reschedule marijuana. What's happening? This is where we start getting into our meat and potatoes. So the CSA vests the Attorney General with authority to schedule, reschedule, or decontrol drugs. This is all in the DEA's hands for the process to be conformed and forever to be properly legal, right? God, I wish it was descheduled right away. I wish that, but the next administration would block it or flip it or whatever, because they can't. Once the president can't do shit, unfortunately. Not that's lasting. This is the lasting part, right? So we'll keep on going about the proposal to reschedule marijuana. DA believes that additional information arising from rulemaking will further inform findings regarding the appropriate schedule for marijuana. DA has maintained an active review of scientific literature addressing marijuana with a focus on how it relates to scientific and medical evaluation and informs any updates into the 8-factor analysis. Then back to, they're trying to find the harms. Here's that 8-factor again. DOJ reviewed the scientific and medical evaluation and scheduling recommendation provided by HSS and has conducted a separate review of the 8-factor. So here we go. Number 1, marijuana's actual relative potential for abuse. This is the shit you gotta make comments on. Now we're gonna go through the comments. Some of them are pretty good. Some of them are well structured. Some of them you're like, hell yeah, dude. Some of them you're like, of course. I have not, and that's what I'm working on, Chris. I am working on my comment right now. I've been so digesting all this information with the ChatGPT and then to PDFs and scrolling through and trying. And mind you, it takes me a fucking 2 months to read a fucking 20-page book, let alone this mumbo jumbo legal spiegel shit. I'm just like, okay, I hope we can make sense of this. And that's what it's all coming down. It's trying to make sense of how it's going to affect people. And it's definitely going to affect people in the industry already. People who are growers, who are the shopkeepers, the processors. And it's not going to affect you in the sense that there may be a different tax structure, but definitely going to be the compliance thing. And if you're doing things the right way, you're already fucking complying to what FDA shit, food rules. Like if you're making infused brownies or concentrates, there's already things that are in place that you should be following anyways, or at least I hope you are. So number 1, marijuana's actual or relative potential for abuse. The first factor that the DOJ and HSS must consider under blah, blah, blah is the actual or relative potential for abuse of marijuana. The term abuse is not defined in the CSA. However, consistent with legislative history of the CSA, DEA, and HSS have typically weighed the following factors in determining whether a particular drug or substance has potential of abuse. Whether there is evidence that individuals are taking the drug or drugs containing such a substance in amount sufficient to create hazard to their health or safety of other individuals or the community. Yeah, marijuana is not heroin, Go through the comments. It's hard to read at the same time when you're talking. And then I'm reading this thing, your comments, and then I got Will in the background just giving me a little guidance. Anyways. So here we're talking about the abuse, right? I've been addicted to fighting this bullshit for fucking 30 years. But that's not what I mean. And then I'm honestly gonna say, yeah, some people can overdo it, right? We have to be able to face the negatives, right? This is a plant medicine. This is a wellness thing. This is good for a majority of people, as we know recently that said like the majority of people use are converting to cannabis opposed to alcohol. That's a healthy society, I think. But now we have to have job protections, business protections, right? Legal for all citizens, for everybody. But we got to start with like making it that regulatory path where people are going to be in compliance. Thanks, Samuel. I appreciate you. So let's go. In particular, HHS emphasized that an evaluation of various epidemiological databases of adverse outcomes from 2015 to 21 involving marijuana or comparative drugs that are used non-medically show that the utilization adjusted rate at an adverse outcomes involving marijuana was consistently lower than the utilization adjusted rates of adverse outcomes involving heroin, cocaine, and for certain outcomes, other comparators, including alcohol. Also, alcohol or heroin typically rank first or in immediately subsequent positions among the comparators in terms of incidence of adverse outcomes, with marijuana in a lower place in the ranking. Yay. Science. Fuck yeah. That science. Right? Yeah, I mean, this is what we're doing. We're, if you want to open a pharmacy or store, and that's the unfortunate thing. It is medicine, but everybody's doom and gloom about like, well, the CSA says this, but once this ball starts rolling, then there's actually applications of rules that can be changed afterwards, right? Because to become with the history of this plant, that you would hope, and it's government, you're gonna fucking hope for the best, but you would hope that once descheduling does happen, they will consider the history and then actually not just the history but the presence, right? Like, here, I just bought an eighth at my store. There's the data of use consuming more presently, not even just use. I mean, hell, I've been smoking pretty much every day for I've been in Washington State for 11 years, 12 years, and I think there's probably like a week or two I probably haven't smoked. And I maintain my role in society. I go to work. I'm figuring out the tax shit. But anyways, back to they're looking for addiction. They're looking for the abuse. And now that we have actual studies, they say it in the paperwork that alcohol and cocaine are a lot worse than cannabis. So DA notes that data provided by HSS and its recommendations include a 2023 national survey that tracks drug use amongst 8th, 10th, and 12th. I got a question. Have any of you in your youth been a part of any of these studies? Like, does anybody know anybody's been a part of these studies? I'd never been asked like my drug consumption. I'm always curious about these studies. But anyways, so it showed that by 12th grade, 20.2% of students reported using marijuana in the past month. DE also notes that the same study showed the prevalence of ingesting marijuana by vaping is evidenced by students reporting vaping in its 30 days prior. Now, I hate that they throw vaping into this database, this data set, because most of these jackass kids are getting vapes online. Or back in the day, remember VapeGate? We just had a discussion or Slack. There was a video on YouTube. I forget who the gentleman was, but he covered about how VapeGate came down to this one guy who worked in the cannabis industry, and he discovered vitamin E acetate, which was a good help thin out the concentrate. So then, and of course, these people are trying. It's like watering down alcohol or whatever. And it turns out that this vitamin E acetate was the thing causing popcorn lungs and all that shit. It wasn't a weed, never was. So I think that's a bad data set. But then again, we're moving the ball forward, baby. We are moving forward. So let's scroll down. Let's get out of the drug addiction part. This is very redundant, and especially once you acknowledge that cannabis and alcohol have 180 fucking effects on society. That should be the dynamic argument right there. But even at the last of it, when Marinol and Syndros were developed The Marinol, if you don't know, is a derivative of cannabis. I'm not sure. It's a synthetic version, though. And I don't know about Syndros, but I imagine it is what's being mentioned here. So when Marinol and Syndros were being developed, they underwent a systematic evaluation of their abuse potential based on animal and human behavioral studies, which show that Dronabinol has abuse potential. The abuse-related studies confirmed the abuse potential of Delta-9. HSS has concluded that these findings suggest that marijuana will continue to be used non-medically, diverted from legitimate channels. That's fucking dumb. But, and again, I don't agree with any of the scheduling, right? This is not at all fair or right, but it's what we have. And it's what we're working with. So the HSS conclusion with respect to factor 1, addiction, HSS determined that, I'm not fucking kill this, epidemiological data indicate that marijuana has potential for creating hazards to the health of the user and to the safety of the community. But how? However, as a relative finding on abuse liability when comparing marijuana to heroin, oxycodone, hydrocodone, fentanyl, cocaine, ketamine, benzodiazepines, zolpidem, tramadol, and alcohol, and various epidemiological databases that allow for some or all of these comparisons, marijuana is not typically among the substances producing the most frequent instances of adverse outcomes of severity. So there's a potential, right? There's some assholes going to abuse something, but that doesn't mean like everybody should be fined for the knucklehead that does that. No, and that's what's been happening. Every fucking thing has potential to be abused. Fucking aspirin can kill you, right? All right, number 2. Scientific evidence of marijuana's pharmacological effects, if known. I think this is like the medicine part, right? The second factor that DOJ and HSS must consider under 21 ballot is the scientific evidence of marijuana's pharmacological effects, if known. In making its recommendations, HSS considered the scientific evidence of the pharmacological effects of marijuana based on the effects of Delta-9. HSS conducted a scientific evaluation of neurochemistry, receptor pharmacology, animal abuse-related behavior effects, and human behavior and psychological effects of marijuana. What does that mean? Let's find out. Number A. So this is the subsections of that. So for everybody following along, we had these 8 points. We're scrolling through the page of the federal regulations that once you go to the DEA, it'll take you here. And this is the breakdown of the rules. But first, you got to go through like 20 pages of just like setting you up. Neurochemistry and receptor pharmacology of marijuana. Cannabis is the genus of a plant that contains numerous natural constituents, including cannabinoids. See HSS, blah, blah, blah. Because cultivated cannabinoids may vary in their composition and concentration of various chemical constituents, including with respect to whether they contain significant amounts of Delta-9 THC or other cannabinoids, marijuana products from different strains will have different differing biological and pharmacological profiles. Okay, so that's just like, so where do you comment? At the very top. When I'm getting to the bottom, I'll show you again. We'll start again. But this is interesting. So they're admitting in this, the studies that the different types of strains, different types of the plant, the composites of it do different things for different wellness, right? We know it helps with people with Crohn's. It helps people with IBS. It helps with emotion. You have an cannabinoid system, right? Your body has a need for vitamin C, and I think it has a need for vitamin THC. So we'll continue. Marijuana contains at least 560 identified natural constituents, including 125 compounds classified as cannabinoids. Most major cannabinoids occurring naturally in cannabis have been identified chemically, but new and minor compounds are continuously being characterized. It's fucking plants, man. But this is going to be the fun part. I think the FDA, because this is all going to come down to how do we turn it into a regulatory process? How do we, one, not fuck with the present industries, right? And then again, all these people are going to be talking about, everybody talks about how the pharmacy, you can't have flour. They got to work with that, right? There's got to be some magic wand, but there's going to be lots and lots of people in the business are going to have to step up. They're going to have to be part of the rulemaking. Don't let the other guy do it. That's all I'm saying. So the two most abundant cannabinoids present in marijuana are Delta 9 and CBD. That's kind of a misnomer, right? I mean, there's so much more to that plant. Delta 9 is a major psychoactive intoxicating cannabinoid in marijuana. And I hate the word intoxicating because there's nothing toxic about it. And is the component of marijuana that is primarily responsible for its abuse potential. In contrast, CBD has negligible abuse potential, as assessed by the FDA during the NDA review of Epidiolex, an FDA-approved drug containing plant-derived, highly purified CBD. I didn't know that. All right, so there's one misnomer. There are two cannabinoids, so they're breaking down the health aspects of it, and I think there's going to be so much more to this that they have to dig into the different components and but again, it's just a fucking plant, right? Like, do we do this? Do we do this with oranges? Do we, vitamin C and all that? Do we really tear apart the other components? But anyways, I digress. In the past 30 years, the potency of marijuana with regard to Delta 9 has increased dramatically. And I don't think so. I disregard. HSS described one study finding the concentration of Delta 9 in marijuana samples in the United States increased from 3% in 91 to 17% to 2017. These increases are likely due to the increase in the number of high-potency samples in the overall samples tested based on the evaluation of marijuana seized by the DEA. The majority of samples contain high concentrated Delta 9 and low concentrated CBD. I mean, that's a duh, no shit. But I don't think the weed's different per se. I just think the quality of the growers, what I would have paid for hundreds of dollars back when I was younger, I can now get for like $30 an eighth. So, it's all good. Number B, animal abuse related behavioral effects, self-administration. This one fucked me up. Just wait till we get to the document the original document that was posted for the comment period, talking about animal testings, right? Like, I unfortunately worked at a facility one time in downtown Seattle as a calibration technician. I support people's stuff on site. And in the middle of downtown, they had a fucking animal testing facility, like covert operation type shit. And so you never really know who your neighbor is. They're no longer there, so I can talk shit now, but it was weird. So self-administration is a method that assesses, this is a funny one too. Self-administration is a method that assesses the ability of a drug to produce rewarding effects. I mean, feeling good, that's a bad thing. I got nothing. The presence of rewarding effects increases the likelihood that individuals will try to obtain additional quantities of a drug. What? You mean I want more of the thing that makes you feel good? No. Animal self-administration of a drug is often useful in suggesting whether humans will experience a particular substance as having rewarding effects, which is indicative of abuse potential. For example, tendency of rhesus monkey to self-administer a drug is correlated with the human propensity to abuse it. Yeah, that part right there fucked me up. Like this, for example, the tendency of a rhesus monkey, look, they're cute little fuckers too, to self-administer a drug is correlated with humans' propensity to abuse it. That's just gross. But, and again, part of the process, right? This is, fortunately, half the stuff we know is safety is because we use it on fucking animals first. So, continue. Since self-administration is a methodology in which test drug is typically administered intravenously to rats, it is not possible to evaluate botanical marijuana through self-administration. However, given the Delta 9 is the primary substance that confers abuse potential in marijuana, its ability to do self-administration can serve as indicator of abuse potential of marijuana. So, like, if deers like fucking eat it all day, I mean, we really try to hyper inflate the situation when it comes to this plant. And what is it? 100 years they've been fearing on the worst side of things. For 100 years, it's been it's going to turn you crazy. It's going to make you non-violent, or it's going to make you violent. Pick one. Jesus, right? HSS concluded after weighing the relevant scientific evidence that Delta 9 produces rewarding effects. That lead an animal to repeatedly seek out a substance. Where's mine? I need to seek it out for that. That's some dumb shit. Let's see. HSS basic basis for rec at 12. Specifically, some studies have demonstrated successful animal self-administration of Delta 9 following intravenous administration or inhaled vapor, oral administration, and intracerebroventricular administration. I think they forced that on there like a mask. Other recent animal studies have not been able to produce Delta 9 self-administering following. My question is, how do they like the lighters? How did you get the fucking monkeys like the lighters? That's awesome. All right. Furthermore, comprehensive deconstruction of which animal methodology is optimal for producing preclinical self-administration of Delta 9 is not necessary for evaluation of the abuse of marijuana in humans because it is already clear that humans utilize marijuana for its rewarding properties. Fuck, that's a long ass section just to say people like weed. Condition place preference. A condition place preference study is another method of determining whether drugs have rewarding properties. Oh, fuck, this is all in the same goddamn subsection of like how people abuse things. But we know we create a whole fucking industry to work around just so we can do what we're doing. All right, drug discrimination studies. This might be a good one. Drug discrimination is a method in which animals indicate whether a test drug produces sensations similar to those produced by a training dog with a known pharmacological mechanism of action. Drug dogs. Drug discrimination is considered to be an abuse-related study only when the training is known drug of abuse. Huh. So, like, you let the monkeys know they're fucking smoking weed? Like, here's some Cali Kush. You like some Blue Dream? Like, all right. Anyways. C. Human behavioral and psychological effects. Subjective effects of Delta 9 THC. We got some studies there. Psychological, behavioral, and subjective responses to marijuana in humans have been known and characterized since antiquity. In the modern period, data on the psychological, behavioral, and subjective responses to marijuana are available from the drug labels of FDA-approved drug products, from prospective human abuse potential studies, from accounts published in the scientific and medical literature, from an evaluation published in 2017 by the National Academies of Science. For personally for me, we're talking about like warning labels and shit, right? Like, I don't know if you guys see those. Like I watch regular daytime over-the-air TV, and lots of those, geared towards old people, about this person had a horrible life until you took the pill, and now look at them, they're frolicking and they're able to be with their family and do all kinds of happiness things. But then at the end, with the disclaimers like blah 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 blah, and every once in a while you catch them like may cause anal bleeding or death, and you're like, well, what can get fucking worse than that? Like what? Yeah, we'll just put that on weed, and like, I mean, no one's died from it except for like in a workplace or whether 1,000 pounds fall on you, right? I mean, it's whatever, man. All right, FDA approved drug products containing Delta 9 THC. Clinical scientific studies. And by the way, and I don't know if they discuss it here, but there were, in the beginning of its program, 15 federal medical marijuana patients. If you're not familiar, look it up. I think it was 15. It started at 15. There's only like 1 or 2 living now. They stopped the program, obviously. Like, you're like, sign me up. But like, there were people with serious ailments, and I heard the weed was booty from the government-grown weed. But they had something though. So, anyways, FDA-approved drug products containing Delta 9. That's where I got me. Clinical studies investigated the effects of Delta 9 on humans during the development of FDA-approved drug product Marinol, which contains 2.5, 5, and 10 milligrams of dronabinol. Delta 9 synthetic. Oh, that sounds so gross. Sorry, guys. During controlled clinical trials, as reported in 6.1, blah, 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 Syndros and Marinol, various adverse effects. It's because they're synthetic. Let's just start with that. All right, HAP studies. Evaluate. And again, these are all about what subsection we're in. We're in the still in the abuse and health section. Let's scroll down. Again, all these subsections are defining what they're looking at. These are things that I guess to consider to talk about, right? To like, in your rule process, here, common response to marijuana in humans published in scientific and medical journals and literature, right? So they're actually referencing. So HSS concluded that the responses to Jonabinol reported during development of Marinol in the response to marijuana and Delta 9 THC. And again, it was synthetic, though. I just don't think you can make the parallel comparison. Reported in HAP studies paralleled the common response to marijuana that had been described by other medical scientists. These responses include positive, subjective responses such as euphoria or happiness, sedative responses such as drowsiness, changes in sleep, anxiety, and negative responses such as panic attacks, agitation, and paranoia, perceptual changes such as hallucinations and changes in perception. Yeah, man, it opens your doors. Psychiatric, social, and cognitive changes such as the drug abuse, delusions, memory, and concentration impairment, and impaired judgment, and psychological responses such as nausea, tachycardia, facial flushing, dry mouth, tremor, dizziness, ataxia, and hypermesis. The literature reviewed by HSS also concluded that the positive changes that occurred following use of marijuana are pleasurable to many humans and are associated with the drug seeking and drug taking. What? Get the fuck out of here. And that these effects are typically dose dependent, with higher doses and routes of administration that produce faster onset, producing more intense responses and the likelihood of more negative subjective effects. Why the likelihood of? That's dumb. I mean, that's just a contradictory sentence. Higher doses and routes of administration produce faster onset, producing more intense responses and the likelihood of more negative. No, no, no. I think you have personal responsibility. People know if it's affecting your life, fucking don't do it. Like anything. So the National Academies of Science, Engineering, and Medicine. So these are all just observations and studies with the plant, which apparently we always need more studies, right? So HSS reviewed a book-length evaluation of marijuana by NASM entitled "The Effects of Health Cannabis and the Current State of Evidence and Recommendations for Research," according to HSS in the evaluation. That was a long one. The clinical features marijuana intoxication have found that one, during acute cannabis intoxication, the user's sociability and sensitivity to certain stimuli, colors, and music may be enhanced. Perception of time is altered, and appetite for sweet and fatty foods is heightened. Why just sweet and fatty? It's fucking, I love food. Some users report feeling relaxed or experience a pleasurable rush, a buzz after smoking cannabis. And again, all shit we know. You really need studies for this? There you go. See, and everybody's different. Some it's mental health, some it's physical health. You know, and if you're not being a harm to society, if you're just a part doing your thing, like freaking going to work and having paying your bills and just being a good human being, fuck, why? So their conclusion with respect to factor 2, based on its analysis, the studies discussed above, HSS included Delta 9. The substance largely responsible for the abuse potential of marijuana is partial agonist at the cannabinoid CB1 receptor. So we have an understanding about the endocannabinoid system too. This is another thing that's just crazy, right? Like our bodies, again, love THC. They love the cannabinoids. They love cannabinoids. You know, the society has a cannabinoid deficiency right now. So, and they're going to say, why? It's abusive because I seek it out because it makes me feel good. That's not right. DA believes that additional data on marijuana's pharmacological effects may be appropriate for considering in assessing this factor. So there's something. I mean, there's a point. You know, if you're considering the comment, you know, consider some of the things like everything in life. In the rule books, in the manuals, like when you're about to do a thing, I mean, they kind of lay the rules out for you. You kind of know. I mean, you want to fly out the bat. You want to be like, it should be legal, man, and fuck all that. But no, you have to like take a minute. And that's kind of why I want to take this time and sit with you and we can burn each other's brain cells out, because as I was telling Will, we're gonna go over this and we're still not gonna know what the fuck we're talking about. You know, we're gonna go over this, and it's like, okay, now what do I do? But that's why I've been staring at this goddamn thing for 3 or 4 days with the hopes of talking to you guys, and we'll introduce Bob, my chat GPT here in a minute. But there's still more to go over there. But let's take a smoke real quick. Fuck me. What you all smoking on? I got this is really yummy. What is this? This is fucking Animal Face. So good. All right. And again, the effects of cannabis. You know, Tom and I have been doing a show for fucking 5, 6 years. Tom will correct me. And you know, occasionally we smoke, but again, throughout this whole time, we've maintained regular jobs, been functional parts of society, just like you yourself. You know, I hope we have, uh, you know, we reach out to just normal fucking people who just want to be normal citizens and be left the fuck alone. But I digress. And let's go. The state of current scientific knowledge regarding marijuana. The third factor the DOJ and HSS must consider under 21 blah 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 is the state of current scientific knowledge regarding marijuana. In considering this factor and making its recommendations, HSS examined the chemistry of marijuana and the human pharmacokinetics of marijuana. What kind of fucking? I gotta Google that shit. Pharmacokinetics. I never. Pharmacokinetics, the study of how the body interacts with administered substance for the entire duration of exposure. Huh. Like, okay, that's a word. All right, chemistry. Cannabis is a genus of annual flowering plant with digitate leaves in the family Cannabaceae martinov that likely originated in. This is interesting. Now we're getting some like fundamental, like, you know, maybe point back in their face, like, here's all the things we know. We know that you've already pointed out that cannabis is safer than alcohol. We also pointed out that, and again, you pointed out in your studies that when it comes to addiction, when it comes to the atrocities of society, you, DEA, person who made this, you know, prove that it should be legal. Now, we can all say it shouldn't be scheduled. We say it should be descheduled. I would love for that to happen because they can, right? Let's not be blind that they can. They can. So let's go. Chemistry. Cannabis is a genus. I already said that. That likely originated in Central or Southeast Asia over 10,000 years ago. What? And we just made it legal. And was first cultivated in China for fiber and seed production. Cultivation eventually spread across Asia, Africa, and Europe, and then to the Americas. Dude, I feel like I'm reading like one of those high times history of weed things. Long-standing and significant historical debate by botanists and taxonomists. What's a taxonomist do? Is that someone who just taxes the shit out of you? Or taxidermist? This is what the law makes you do. It makes you Google shit. Taxonomist, the biologist that groups organisms in categories. All right. Fucking Google. Continues, botanists and taxonomists continues today regarding the number of species in the cannabis genus. Neat. But is generally treated as a single highly polymorphic species known as Cannabis sativa, with the other two previously reported species listed as Cannabis indica, lamb, and Cannabis ruderellus, genus. Plants previously believed to be part of the latter two species are generally recognized as varieties or subspecies of Cannabis sativa L. Which are commonly referred to as sativa variable indica and sativa variable rudellis. Cannabis sativa and sativa variable indica plants are widely cultivated for their size, branching, and cannabinoid content, while sativa var for rudellis is rarely cultivated alone because it is shorter. It is often unbranched. It has very low cannabinoid content. This is interesting. You know, this is, you know, they really they really break it down to like some like fundamental stuff where it's like, I don't know about you, but I just go to the store and be like, hey, can I get some weed? Okay. Yes, you got some. I right now my thing is I go in for two things. I live in a fortunate area where I can go in like it's a goddamn pizza place and I can get like pepperoni with jalapenos and extra cheese. I walk in and I go, you know what? I just want something gassy or garlicky. That's my go-to right now, gassy and garlicky. I like that flavor. I think it's the Mercy. I'm not sure what. As an asthmatic too, it just makes me feel better. But that's my vibe this week. You know, next week it could be like, hey, you got Blue Dream, but no, it's very interesting that they were breaking it down into like these variables and different parts. You know, and it's still bullshit that we divide hemp cannabis by 0.3% because of Delta 9. what like this magic number just makes another plant. You know, like I mean, this law is just all about making shit up as we go, and that's why I love working with Tom because he knows a lot more shit than I do. Anyways, worldwide cannabis varieties are separated into hundreds of different cultivars and strains. Plants selected for cultivation are known as cultivated varieties or cultivars, whereas plants reproduce asexually from a cultivar through a colonial propagation are known as strains. What? What? I just thought like cultivars and strains were the same. Well, that's why I'm not a farmer. All right, let's go. These practices have resulted in significantly different chemical profiles for cannabis cultivars, and the classification term to account for these chemical profile differences has evolved. The term chemivore, okay, that makes more sense now, accounts for the plant's chemical profile and is a more meaningful classification for clinical researchers studying the plant's potential drug effects. Marijuana products developed from diverse chemivores will have different safety, biological, pharmacological, and toxicological profiles. Neat. If you're familiar with the Phylos Project, you should go check it out. I'm telling you, man, it's fucking law. But the Phylos Project, because they have a really cool dream where they were like one day, and it's all true when it comes to like genetics. The Phylos, I don't know if it's still there, the website, but they have the Phylos Galaxy, and say like Blue Dream tested in California and Blue Dream tested in New York, they should have the same genetic profiles, right? And then any sub one like Snoop's Blue Dream, you'll see like the branches for it. Well, they categorize many varietals showing connections, and eventually they're like, you know, most nerds are like thinking that people will recognize weed for like a combination of things, a profile versus do you have any Blue Dream? Do you have any AK-47? You know, that's the thinking, but I still don't. People like the brands, right? People like their flavors. You know, you go to a store or you're in a bar and you're like, I want an IPA or I want a fucking lager, right? It's not hey, can I get a light profile? I mean, like you kind of break it down later to that. If you're like, well, what do you have for drinks? And then they're like, well, we have these ones. I'm like, is that like a heavy? You got to be more familiar with like the notes, I guess. But that's interesting though. So let's see. Cannabis is a dioecious plant. Dioecious plant, meaning female and male flowers occur on separate plants. Okay, and rarely occurs on a monoecious plant, i.e., single plant containing male and female flowers. I think I knew that much. We're all chasing after the female. The glandular trichomes found on the female plant's unfertilized flower heads and bracts contain the highest concentrations of cannabinoids. For this reason, unfertilized female chemovars are favored to harvest large inflorescences, i.e., complete flower head, for their rich cannabinoid and terpene content. Unfertilized female, yeah. We only want the females, and we don't want them to have little balls. The cannabis sativa L plant naturally contains many different compounds, and more than 550 have been identified, such as cannabinoids, terpenoids, flavonoids, stilbenoids, steroids, what? Polysaccharides, what? Phenanthrines, pyro, and you. I hope you're having a good time. You see these fucking words. Lignins, fatty acids, sugars, hydrocarbons, amino acids, and proteins. Cannabinoids are mainly found in living cannabis sativa L plants in their non-psychoactive carboxylated forms, i.e., S form, which require drying, heating, combustion, or aging to decarboxylate to their natural forms. This is something Tom and I talked about, where the plant changes once it's been harvested in stores. It's still changing, right? So it is so hard to have regulation specific. Like again, the 3% is the worst imaginary line. The most abundant neutral form cannabinoids are delta 9 and CBD. Why do they keep going back to CBD? There's CBG, there's CBD. Anyways, but nearly 200 have been identified in the plant and are divided in subclasses. Cannabidurals, cannabichromines, CBDs, delta 9s, and delta 8s, trans tetrocannabinoids, side. Cannabis. I mean, this is where you need a lawyer at. Cannabinol swings, cannabinoids, cannabinol because then each one of these I'm Googling, I'm looking up cannabitrolls and miscellaneous cannabinoids. Oh, let me just throw that out there. Just anything. Why couldn't you just say that in the first place? Why? We're like, we keep discovering shit. Just call it. Oh, let's take a break. 420, baby. We got a bumper? We do a bumper? I had no fucking matter.
CLN is currently dealing with technical difficulties. A wild skunk has entered the studio. Please stand by.
Dude, we've been at it for almost an hour. And I'm not even done with this whole fucking document. Look where my little fucking bar is, the little gray bar. This is why we can't have nice things. Welcome to my new part-time job. Oh, it's not bad though. I got you, and I got you, and you over there. All right. Like any other botanical substance, marijuana plants are heterogeneous in nature and contain a complex chemical profile. Moreover, you know this. I know more about this fucking plant than I knew fucking potatoes. I know more about this fucking plant than I know about the cigarettes in my wife. Or yeah. Anyways, moreover, variable organic plant material as well as manufactured preparations result in a variety of product forms that dictate different routes of administration, associated risk, and differences in quality of the product used, which may also influence risk for users. Among other things, those differences can result from differences in harvest location, growing conditions, the season in which marijuana is harvested, and the manner in which the marijuana is processed, handled, transported, and tested. The potential for high variability of marijuana and marijuana-derived products, both in the product composition and impurity profile, is a major consideration for the potential for variability of drug effects and safety. There's so much to this definition that they're taking into. Like, this is really cool. The chemistry portion of this is it good and bad? What do you think? Like, defining a plant through its chemical composition, we don't do this for what else do we do this for? Do we do this for wheat? Wheat turns into alcohol. Do we do this for potatoes? Potatoes make vodka. What other thing do we have so many paragraphs and devotion to subcomponents of a plant and then to just put in the word where was it? Where it said, and the miscellaneous cannabinoids. Like, in case some new shit comes up, we're gonna cover it. Oh my goodness! I hope you get something to eat, Canna, and thank you. I appreciate all you guys for hanging out on this, and I hope you're feeling somewhat informed, and I hope you get something out from Tom and I. This is how things are done. It's so frustrating, but then also like hey, all you kid YouTubers, all you WeTubers, this is something y'all need to be talking about. Like, the party's cool. Like, this is why I don't do that shit. Where it's like, partying is cool, right? We got to a certain point now where everybody's not afraid to be on camera. That was scary times, man. And this kind of thing happening right now is important enough that you should be gearing your audience, creating a message. Point them to the old fuckers who are trying to figure out how to change the rules. But this is like, despite what anybody says, needs to go forward. It needs to happen. All right, let's do a little summary. In short, marijuana has hundreds of chemovars containing variable concentrations of delta-9 cannabinoids and other compounds. As a result, in evaluating whether to recommend that marijuana be rescheduled, HSS focused to the greatest extent possible on wide-ranging substances derived from cannabis plants that are vehicles for the self-administration of delta-9 as the key biological active substance on which CSA's current definition of marijuana is based. No, the CSA's current measure is based off of racism. Let's just get that out there. Let's just be like, it's based off of some bullshit because there was no science when y'all made fucking cannabis Schedule 1. Show me the science. So show me that little like Toby McGuire. Yeah, show me the science. Show me the science. All right. Human pharmacokinetics of delta-9. All right. What was that word again? Pharmacokinetics. So that was like the study of how the body absorbs delta-9. I don't think we really care about this section. I mean, we could. I mean, imagine if you're a patient, you probably do. Uh, uh, some people have worse conditions than others, right? I'm an asthmatic, and I know right away when I smoke bad weed, and I know when I smoke good weed. And the fact that I can't have consistent, always good weed, but I have better than most, and so it's good. So yeah, so pharmacokinetics, the study of how the body absorbs delta 9. Let's pass this one. Look at this tab. Look, I'm not even like fucking halfway done. HSS conclusion with respect to factor 3. All right, here we go. That's where we're going to get. In conclusion, HSS found that pharmacokinetic profile of marijuana varies greatly depending on route administration. Yeah, so you can take it, smoke it. You can take it as a suppository. Inhalation of marijuana produces rapid increase in plasma levels, immediate onset to psychological effects. In comparison to oral administration of marijuana produces a much slower plasma levels. Um, I don't know. I know what I like. I like smoking it. All right, so now we're on to the fourth section. Look how I was getting excited, like, oh, look how small it is. But then you just got the subsection of the fourth section. Oh. Marijuana's history and current pattern of abuse. The fourth factor that DOJ and HHS must consider under the 21 law is marijuana's history and current pattern of abuse, which can include its abuse relevant to comparator substances that are abused. CHSS law. Concluded it's appropriate to consider the federal and state level history of marijuana control, marijuana sources for non-medical medical use. Marijuana used in the United States since passage of the CSA, and current patterns and use and abuse of marijuana. Pattern of abuse is what this is devoted to. Let's see, federal history of marijuana control. HSS described the United States pharmacopoeia as early as 1850. Around the time the Congress passed the Pure Food and Drug Act in 1906, public law, blah, blah, blah. Drugs such as marijuana, alcohol, heroin, morphine, cocaine began to be characterized by the federal government as addictive and dangerous. So in 1850, Congress passed the Food and Drug in 1906. But why not alcohol? Why didn't you put that there? Oh, no, it did. Never mind. I stand corrected. I just read it. All right, here we go. These drugs were frequently included in patent medicines, often without the consumer's knowledge. What? People are getting dosed. In the 1906 law required accurate drug labeling with respect to ingredients and dosage. I'm sorry, I just can't. Wow. But I mean, it's sense though. I mean, like all bullshit aside, joking. It's important, right, that we know what levels we're getting of things that we take, especially like aspirin. Again, aspirin can kill you. Yeah, and I agree. Cannabis, but we're gonna take back the word, baby. We're gonna make it right and give it a proper place. So let's go back. Let's see, these drugs were frequently included in dosages, but it did not prohibit the sale or possession of drugs characterized as addictive and dangerous drugs, including marijuana. Huh. As non-medical use of marijuana and opioids became more popular in the United States, Congress providing funding in 1929 for 2 narcotic farms in Lexington, Kentucky, and Fort Worth, Texas, which were medical treatment centers run by the Public Health Services for federal prisoners who were habitual users of narcotics, including marijuana-derived products. What other kind of products did they have back then that were marijuana? They didn't have marijuana. They didn't have any of that synthetic shit. They had weed. They had cannabis. That's what they had. Why do you guys say it like that? And they neglected to talk about the 1927 Tax Act. So, or maybe they do later. We'll get it. Oh, never mind. They do. 1937. I stand corrected. In the first half of the 20th century, marijuana use was curbed by several federal laws. In 1931, the importation of marijuana into the United States began to be restricted under regulations under the Pure Food and Drug Act, except for medicinal purposes. The Marijuana Tax Act of 1937, public law, blah, blah, imposed taxes that effectively prohibited marijuana use for medical, non-medical, scientific, or industrial purposes. 5 years later, in 1942, marijuana was removed from the United States pharmacopoeia. So all the way up until 1942. That's fucking crazy. Through the imposition of mandatory minimums, the Boggs Act of 1951, public law, blah, 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 lengthened the average sentence for the first-time offenders from 2 to 5 years. That sucks. Similar to that of opioid offenses, regardless of whether the individual was a non-medical user or trafficker. Fuck, dude. So whether you got caught smoking or you're pushing pounds, it doesn't matter. And then again, that's the kind of stigma that we're trying to get away. We're going to break this shit where you can smell like weed and nobody can say shit to you. That's how I live here in Washington State. Uh, I got into a car one time, like a taxi thing, and the guy who got in the car after me kind of was bitchy about it because he was trying to be accusatory to the driver. He's all like, I smell weed. And I looked at him and I was like, yeah, I just smoked a bowl. Sorry. Like, you can't get mad, dude. Fucking, that's life. And as I tell Tom, and as we're going, this is why this is so exciting, because there is potential for that to happen where everybody from Alabama, Kentucky can live like I do in Washington, where America is like the same wherever you are. I mean, it should be, but we all know it's not. All right. So through the imposition of mandatory minimums, the Boggs Act lengthened the average sentences. So we talked about that. The Narcotic Control Act of 1956 increased the minimum sentence for a first offender for marijuana to 2 to 10 years. Jesus Christ! He keeps kidding on and hitting for weed. Despite the legal consequences, non-medical marijuana use increased dramatically in the 1960s, especially among youth. Congress passed the CSA in the 1970s. The CSA effectively repealed all previous federal laws, including the Marijuana Tax Act, and provided a unified framework for control of drugs with abuse potential. So this is it. This is the like why the president. There's already this goddamn act of Congress. Unless you get act of Congress to happen again, to flip it, yeah, good luck on that one. Now. So when the CSA was enacted, marijuana was placed into Schedule 1, which prohibited the use of marijuana for medicinal or non-medical purposes, other than legitimate scientific research and analysis. This placement was consistent with the criteria established by the CSA under 21, blah, blah, blah. So here's the federal layout right here. This is the federal history of marijuana control. I mean, I hate to say that, everybody's like, keep the government out of my fucking weed, right? It's like saying keep the government out of my healthcare. That's dumb. I mean, there's going to be someone in business, right? Well, however you're smoking your weed now, it's not going to affect you if you're a consumer. Point blank. If you're in the industry, if you're an active, if you're a small mom and pop, this will affect your business. There'll be more compliance. That's it. New things to meet, new things to. Sorry, you don't get to go to on vacation this year. You got to go lobby in Washington D.C. if you want shit to not get fucked. So, marijuana control at the state level, according to HSS, changes of state level marijuana laws in the United States in modern era began in 1996 with the approval of Proposition 2015 or 215. Excuse me. I was just thinking, I got signatures for that. In Prop 215 a long time ago. The Compassionate Use Act by voters in California. This law legalized the use, possession, and cultivation of marijuana for treatment of patients with cancer, anorexia, AIDS, chronic pain, spasticity, glaucoma, arthritis, migraine, or any other illness for which marijuana provides relief when recommended by a physician. Under the law, marijuana could also be cultivated by patient caregivers. And as I like to say, that was the gateway law to legalization. Right? This is the law, Prop 215. This is the law that it proved in medicine. It is medicine. It gave it that but also it showed the world that planes didn't fall out of the sky. People didn't give up living because they smoked a joint. It was just another day. The sun just kept on shining. So, anyways, back to the states run. As of August 2023, when HSS submitted its basis for recommendation to DEA, state-level laws allowing medicinal use of marijuana had been passed in a total of 38 states, and plus District of Columbia, our capital. Listed as states, medical use of marijuana was legalized through the action of 20 states legislation and a by ballot of 18 measures. Okay, cool. In 2012, some more about the state stuff. Let's see, marijuana use in the United States since the passage of CSA. I mean, we all kind of already know. I mean, you're living it, right? You're you're doing all your secret handshakes when you need to. You're doing all the things that this is why to all the young people with the trappers and you know you know weed is not a it's not a gangster thing, right? This is something that society has been um uh stigma, uh whatever, where the reason why you deal with there's these shady people that do shady shit. There's shady people in any industry, in any business, whether it be legit or not. But and when you're pushing large amounts of pounds that will pay for your uh rent and all that shit, people get shot because you're not doing things legally on both ends. So just I'm saying the tensions are right. Whereas if you're in a business, then it's all get litigious, lawsuits and civil, and that's the whole point, right? Like, grow your fucking weed, smoke your, sell it to your homies, fucking. But you're not going to make a big business out of it. I mean, you're not going to be an empire. You're not going to be El Chapo, because to get to that level, it's that's where you raise flags, and so at that point, if you're in a Chapo level, I mean, I don't know if you take your money, get out and become legit, but this would be the path. And this will help knock out that bullshit too, I believe. So current patterns of use and abuse of marijuana. So more about the history, then we can go back to use and abuse again. Wow, this is like a reoccurring dream. And considering current patterns of use and abuse of marijuana and marijuana-derived products, HSS analyzed epidemiological databases from 2015 to most recent years of available data, which vary among data sources. A wide variety of, damn my fucking word, epidemiological data. Google this thing. I'm killing this word. Epidemiological, related to the branch of medicine that deals with incidence, distribution of diseases. I keep thinking it has to do with like the skin. All right. These include NUSTA, behavioral risk factor. Okay, so just more to like studies that are being done. Then here are the studies: National Survey on Drug Use and Health. We can, if you want to take the time to go through that. Look at that, man. I'm not even, the little bar is not even halfway down. Little fucking bananas. What did I commit myself to? This is insane. All right, let's go back up. So we're still in the section. We're past the history part. Let's get into like more again about abuse, right? We have to do the study on abuse. How are the ills? And again, this is something that Tom's talked about, where the only time studies have been allowed have been to look for abuse, not the wellness part, not the how people are conducting their daily business, still going to work, part. That's not being studied. That's not being analyzed. No, it's only like, how are people fucking up? And that's fucked up. Behavioral risk factor surveillance system. What? It just sounds creepy. State-based cross-sectional telephone survey conducted by the Center for Disease Control and Prevention. The participants in the 2021 BRS module of marijuana included approximately 68 million individuals, 18 years and older. That's a lot of motherfuckers. So for 2020 survey year, the estimated prevalence of the past marijuana use for any reason in the BRS study was 12%, with 88% reporting no marijuana use. What? Okay. Among those with the past month, that means frequency of the use 17 days per month, with half response reporting. Probably no one's going to be fucking honest all the way. I mean, I'm going to tell you, I smoke every fucking day. I mean, it's an expensive habit. Not a habit. It's not a lifestyle too. It's a lot of things right all at once. Many things can be true at the same time. Let's see. When the reason for the use was evaluated, percentage of individuals who reported for both medical and non-medical reasons was 39%. All use is medical use though, because whether you're doing this on a Friday night because you had a long stressful day at work, you're weak, your body's sore, and you're like, this joint on a Friday night makes my fucking night. You're feeling better, buddy. That's wellness. Research, abuse, diversion, and addiction related surveillance systems survey of non-medical use of prescription drugs. That just Like, thank you for making it this far. Like, my brain is going numb just getting this like little acronym radars. Research abuse. I won't say that again. Uh, Radar system conducted the Numerix program. Why is it gotta be so? Oh, Numeric like medicine? I get nothing. A serial cross-sectional online survey, a general adult population, 18 years old, to elicit information, non-medical use of drugs. And again, we're just looking like about the abuse section, and I really wish. Here we go. Youth behavioral, another youth study, more about the abuses. So it seems like this section is really just here to inform you on what they're considering, right? Like international cannabis policy. So here's the other one that Tom's been talking about because of treaties, and I think there's more of a section. Again, we're right in the middle of my tabs here. This is we haven't even touched the tippy top of the process here. Here, let me I'll post the link. I can even show you how to do what I got there. DEA, right? So you go to DEA website, proposed rulemaking. First one, bam, click on that. It'll take you here. Comment right there at the very top. That's your chance right here, baby. Just boom. I want to make a comment, and it tells you as you. I haven't made my comment yet. I haven't worked on it yet. I'm going through this with you right now is prepping me for what I want to think about in my comment. And then I want you, if you're still with me here, baby, it's been a long one. We're going to go through some of the comments, and I want to show you some of the copy and paste campaigns to give you an idea. Maybe you can, if copy and paste has been fucking good for me for most things in my life, I mean, it could be good enough to get your voice heard, at least be noted, right? To be a check mark saying, all right, 10, 100,000, 10 million people said support, 50 people said no, because I'm going to show you some negative comments. So your international cannabis policy study conducted serial cross-sectional surveys from 2019 to 2021 of individuals ages 16 to 65 living in the United States to understand the public health impact of marijuana legalization. HSS evaluation of that survey focused on respondents who reported at least some past marijuana non-medical use by indicating they were a non-medical user, defined as someone who uses marijuana only to treat a medical condition. You know, international, that would be hard to. There's no prescription, right? You're not prescribed if you're getting weed in Zimbabwe or wherever. I mean, as far as I know, they don't have a medical program. But you're asking people to admit they're committing crime. I don't know. But anyways, why? Well, this is excessive, but still something they're considering about international. We even got a conclusion. HSS conclusion with respect to factor 4. In light of the evidence cited above, HSS determined that certain conclusions could be drawn about marijuana's current pattern of abuse. There we go. HSS concluded that the use of marijuana for medical and non-medical purposes is extensive in the United States. HSS also concluded that the prevalence of marijuana use is less than that of alcohol and significantly more than of a lot of other drugs of abuse that are scheduled under the CSA. So like this statement right here, just bam, just punch you in the ding dong when it comes to like weed is safer than everything else. It's safer than McDonald's. Specifically, HSS noted that the NSD data from 2015-19 showed that the prevalence of the past year of use of alcohol was 5 to 6 times greater than that of non-medical use of marijuana. In contrast, the prevalence of past year non-medical use of heroin, cocaine, oxycodone, hydrocodone, tramadol, benzodiazepines, and zolpidem was 4 to 5 times less than that of marijuana non-medical use. Similar past year comparative drug use data reported in the radars, all those studies that we talked about in this past above, in 2016, DEA found that marijuana continues to be the most widely used illicit drug, and it's only illicit because of the fucking law, baby. Like if, deschedule it, yes, deschedule it all the way. But this is the path now. This is the path to descheduling. We're on the path to not arresting people for their smell. back of a better word, for the look, for their t-shirt. And again, I talked about how, you young tubers, man, speak out and encourage this because, uh, there was a time where I was afraid to be on camera. I would not get my picture taken. I would not be seen. I volunteer and do things, but I'll be down, punch you in your fucking face. You took a picture of me. All right. It noted that 2014, there were 22.2 million current users, that there were also 2.6 million new users. Welcome to the club. Most of whom were less than 18 years of age. What? Nah, I mean, they're whatever. And that marijuana was the most frequently identified drug identified in federal, state, and local forensic laboratories. Huh. Duh. That sucks. It means a lot of people got busted. In addition to the data provided in the HSS basis for recommendation and data considered by the HSS and the DEA in their 2015 8-factor analysis, DEA anticipates that additional information arising from this rulemaking, you are the additional information. Remember that. This is the comment period. This is your time to make a comment. DEA anticipates that additional information arising from the rulemaking will further inform findings that must be made to reschedule marijuana, including with respect to this factor. DEA also notes that, according to the World Health Organization, cannabis is globally the most commonly used psychoactive substance under the international control. Oh, very. Account for half of all drug seizures worldwide. The global annual prevalence of cannabis consumption is 2.5%, or about 147 million people. In 2016, an estimated 28.6 individuals. Just think about these numbers, though. 147 million people. I mean, even if you're not a consumer, there's a good chance that your aunt, uncle, third cousin, somebody you like, does. So, would you want them to go to jail? Or make their lives harder to access this plant? No. So by 2020, approximately 59.3 million individuals aged 12 or older reported using an illicit drug within the past year. 83.6%, 49.6 million of those past year illicit drug use reported using marijuana. In 2022, the Domestic Cannabis Eradication and Suppression Program was responsible for the eradication of 435,859 illegally cultivated outdoor cannabis plants and 1,245,980 illegally cultivated indoor plants, for a total of 5,681,839 illegally cultivated. That's a lot of numbers to me. That's not my bank account. Legally cultivated marijuana plants. Man, that's fucked up. They fucking took a lot of stuff. DEA believes that additional data on marijuana's pattern of abuse may be appropriate for consideration in assessing this factor. I mean, if that many individuals are consuming it and new people are, something should tell you it's a positive thing, not a negative thing, right? Are we, do you get mad at a really good taco? Are people like, oh, everybody's craving this one really good whatever sauce, and so there's got to be an issue. And that's the case with cannabis, I think, is, we've spent all this time looking for the harms. And I even think in Mexico a long time ago, we're going over and losing them. There's been a long prohibition against this plant. And this is the way, this is how we're getting to legalization. All right, I'm only on 5. I'm going to scroll down a couple more and we'll jump to the real quick, the comments. Fuck, you guys have been an hour and 20 minutes. Man, you guys are amazing. I really appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, maybe we'll try to make it through. And again, this is after I'm done doing this, it's going to give me my thought process for the comments. Because again, the comments is where what are we commenting on? We're commenting on this. This is the document. I had on the side the PDF. So if you looked at this PDF, this is the thing that was this is what we're looking at, but dissected and written out properly on the DEA's page. This PDF was like it's a chapter, a page out of the rule making process. So that's why we're going over this website section, because it's laid out. And for food for thought, this is it. This is the food for thought for people for your comments, for what they're considering for the law and why. This is it. I mean, we're going to go over some copy and paste comments, and that could be your option. Or you can think of something thoughtful yourself, and then if you can convince your friends and family to copy and paste your words and put it in there, because these will be heard, and the copy and paste will be grouped together. So let's go. So the scope, duration, and significance of abuse. The fifth factor that DOJ and HSS must consider under 21 blah blah is the scope, duration, the significance of marijuana abuse in conducting its analysis. More bullshit about like the dangers, right? The data, epidemiological data on consequences of marijuana abuse, national poisoning data system. The number of PC abuse cases for substance, either alone or in combination with another substance for period. Why does it say, oh, with another substance? And again, this should be just about the plant. This should just be about one thing to be abused, right? That's all it should be about. It shouldn't be about like, hey, when we raided this house and these guys were high on weed and ketamine. I mean, that's not a good fucking comparison, but yeah, that's what you're doing. So these are more of the studies about abuse. I'm going to scroll down past National Survey on Drug Use and Health. See if there's any good. We'll go down to the summaries. Treatment episode data set. Yay. So sexy. Nationwide Emergency Department sample. More like emergency room stuff. And but what is a cannabis emergency, right? When people like go to when they freak out, it's mostly like here's some Pink Floyd and a pizza. It's not don't have a panic attack. That's all you're doing. National Forensic Laboratory Information System. So this one will be interesting. This will probably be like, how do you identify DUI? How do you because they're always looking for the bad, right? So but again, how are we doing it now? Right now, unfortunately, at least here in Washington State, we have a 5 nanogram DUI clause, and it's still based off bullshit. Sweet conclusions. I love these parts. In HSS view, the most notable conclusion from its evaluation of epidemiological databases related to the medical outcomes from drug abuse is that for all evaluated measures from 2015 to 2020, the rank order of comparators in terms of greatest adverse consequences typically placed alcohol, unscheduled, heroin, Schedule 1, and cocaine, Schedule 2, in the first or immediately subsequent position, with marijuana in the lower position. What? All right. We don't need to re-risk that shit. Let's keep on going. What, if any, risks to public health? This should be a conclusion. Ha! Detailed analysis of risk. Conclusion. In summary, HSS found that the risks to the public health posed by marijuana are low compared to other drugs, i.e. heroin, cocaine, based on various epidemiological databases. Fuck yeah. So, again, you pointed this out, DEA. When you make your comments, this is something maybe to add to your outline, right? Like something you're thinking about. Like, you pointed out this is like the least of what's presently legal. So this is the least that we can do right now, Schedule 3. Number 7, marijuana psychic or psychological dependence, liability. Psychic dependence. There's got to be summaries. Let's go to summaries. I'm starting to like summaries. Physical dependence. So A was psychic dependence. Physical dependence. Conclusions. Experimental. And so when you're going through, because obviously you're not going to remember anything we're doing. You're just enjoying the time. I would say go to all the conclusions. This is how the best way to summarize, or like you do, like I did, and use ChatGPT. It really helped outline this. So food for thought, because I'm still haven't done my letter yet. Inclusion, HSS found experimental clinical evidence that chronic but not acute use of marijuana can produce both psychic and physical dependence in humans. So what does that mean? The symptoms associated with both kinds of dependence are relatively mild for most individuals, although their severity may be greater or increased exposure to marijuana. And again, earlier they said the ills are lesser than alcohol and heroin. Long-term heavy use of marijuana can lead to physical dependence, withdrawal following discontinuation. I don't know. I've never been like withdrawals and stuff. How about you? Like if I don't have weed, I'm just sad. I'm not like, oh, if I don't have coffee, I'll be like, yo, want some loving, some fun time. Anyways, Number 8, whether marijuana is an immediate precursor of substance already controlled in the CSA. The eighth factor that the DOJ and HHS are required to consider under 21 blah blah is whether marijuana is an immediate precursor of substance already controlled in the CSA. So I mean, we already know it has health benefits. So V number 7, determination of appropriate schedule of marijuana. So here's how we got to where we're at. Here's how they got to this like Schedule 3 thingy. After conducting the 8-factor analysis in 2023, HSS has recommended 3 findings regarding the appropriate schedule on which to place marijuana. The 3 findings relate to substance abuse potential, whether the substance has a CAMU, and the safety or dependence potential of the substance. I think those 3 topics probably be good. No, that's not what I'm looking for. Never mind. It's an acronym for something, right? Look it up later. So it's looking for those 3. It's telling you right here. HSS is recommending the findings. Why is finding Schedule 3? So I mean, can you convince them to take it off schedule? Counterpoint these 3. That's abuse potential. Because I'm sure they reference studies. You can counterpoint with the CAMU thing because I didn't look it up right. And the safety dependence potential of the substance. Like, how many people are addicted to weed? And again, we have to acknowledge the fact that some people abuse it. People abuse weed. Some people it becomes their fucking lifestyle, right? These are the dangers of cannabis. But it's way less dangerous than alcohol. Like, if we're going to have a fair society where people can be treated and have a perception of like chemicals, for lack of a better, I won't say drugs, but chemicals. Like, I think we suffer from a lot of people's ignorance. So it goes into the potential of abuse. Let's see, scrolling down, more comparison. Currently accepted. That's the CAMU. Currently accepted medical use in treatment. All right, so probably references. So again, you can check it out. Go through these studies. Try and figure out an angle to come at them. This is what you're commenting on. You're commenting on addiction. Is it the ills of society? This is what they're looking at when it comes to the medical properties, and you can voice your opinion. If you're a patient and it's helping you physically, psychologically, this be one of the things you may want to know, right? Like, hey, it is medicine. I appreciate you guys, moving the ball forward. This is silly. Types of marijuana abuse schedule. There's only one type. I think whatever. This rescheduling of marijuana would apply to marijuana as listed in 21 blah blah. The rescheduling also would apply to marijuana extracts. Okay, I get it now. So like Tom's talking about the code about everything that's come after plant, right? So I would hope that would all be the same. Oh, here we go. We get into the treaty obligation stuff. Number 7. More of that boring stuff that nobody really cares about, but government. And so being scheduled would keep it in line with the treaty. Being scheduled, that's just another bullet point for like supposedly the Grumps room. I don't even know if there's any more fucking Grumps in the room anymore, but hey, so requirements for handling marijuana and other applicant controls. And hey, there's a conclusion. Holy sweet, I'm almost at the bottom. Based on the legal opinion of OLC and consideration of the scientific and medical evaluation accompanying recommendation of HSS, the Attorney General is initiating a rulemaking that proposes the placement of marijuana in Schedule 3 of CSA. DOJ is soliciting comments and proposals. Holy fuck, the document's long. Regulatory analysis. Now we're getting some more hibbity-jibbity. All right, so let's get into the comments real quick. Wait for this. Paperwork production. So there's a point that they're done. You're done, right? And then there's all this other legal spiegel stuff. So if you want to go to DEA. I showed you guys. Let's do it again. DEA. Do on the first right there, and then comments. So, but we're gonna look at the comments though. And I can even do it right here now, live. So I'm gonna do a search. I want you, my fellow cannabis consumers, my fellow aficionados and lovers of freedom and this plant in general. Here is the first comment. I rated this from the oldest and newest, and I want you to see the first comment. This rule is a horrible idea. This should remain in Schedule 1. Marijuana is a gateway drug and ruins lives. I'll make that bigger for the other blind people, if you can see. But this is the first comment, ladies and gentlemen. This is the what's starting it. So everybody has an opinion here. Every American 18 over has an opinion. Don't let only these buttholes be the opinion, right? So I'm gonna go gateway myself right now. Hold on. All right, there we go. And I'm going to show you some other comments I highlighted. I just want to go over a couple of the campaign copy and paste campaigns you'll find. So you can go here and you can just go to, after you submit your formal comment, go back, go to view posted comments, which will take you here to Regulation Gov. And then you can go to documents and then view details. It's a document. I mean, you'll find it. You're not stupid. So let's just, some of these comments I really want you to see, though. All right. Oh, man, I got way too many tabs. There's that guy, number one. Here we go. My 17-year-old son is a vegetable. Dropped out of school, lost all his friends, won't play sports or do anything he used to enjoy, all because it's just weed, man. These Delta products marked with cartons are killing the youth. And again, this is why we need a regulated market. Your 17-year-old kid wouldn't have access to weed from a regular store. Your 17-year-old kid would, if they did get weed, would be real weed. You're not getting real weed. You're getting Delta 8 spray terps, vape gate, right? So check us out. Thanks for liking. Thanks for hanging, guys. Check this one. So here's one of the copy and paste campaigns. There's two I identified. If you want to be your voice heard, housing is a human right, but too many people are denied access to this fundamental need because of their criminal record. I urge the enforcement agency to remove Cannabis Controlled Substances Act and move that would step toward rectifying the harms caused by its criminalization. By descheduling cannabis, the U.S. government would be following the lead of 31 states and have already criminalized the drug. In fact, majority of people in the U.S., 70%, including according to the November Gallup poll, support cannabis legalization, but rescheduling cannabis from 1 to 2 as 3, as the Department of Health and Human Services and the DEA has proposed, is insufficient. If cannabis remains on the CSA, people can continue to face penalties at the federal level for possession, including arrest, incarceration, which lead to a lifetime of consequence that impacts someone's ability to secure employment, housing, public benefits, educational opportunities, and more. The criminalization of cannabis, a legacy of war on drugs, was a policy decision rooted in racism. The war on drugs is actually a war on people's time to change. So one thing to note, these are public comments, right? And why I know this, why I say these are campaigns is because I'm about to show you the exact same comment. Oh, here's a number you can look at. Maybe it'll change. So that's 37. Oh, shit. Did I not? Shit. Oh, no, never mind. That's not the right number. That's the number of the actual, like the day or the docket of the document. But this is another poster, same comment. So there are campaigns out there. This one's a Q2 one, talks about the creator and things. I like that. Here's another one. I'm for this and cannot understand how marijuana can be considered. So again, people are voicing their opinions in various ways, right? And that document is long as fuck, right? Here we go. Finally, some good legislation. It's time to stop using a plant with many medicinal uses as criminal action. This is good for the USA. So all various comments, but I want to find. Here we go. This is the other copy and paste campaign I've seen. Thank you for the opportunity to comment on DEA's proposed rule of the status of marijuana under the CSA. While I appreciate the Biden administration's effort to reconsider marijuana's inappropriate classification as a Schedule 1 controlled substance, I have deep concerns about the insufficiency of rescheduling. Instead of keeping marijuana illegal under the CSA, it's time to end this country's failed policy on criminalization. I agree with all this shit. I agree with all that. So, is it going to help them make a decision? I don't know. I don't know what decision, but this is your opportunity to make a comment on something that affects you personally, whether it be for incarceration, for health, and wellness. And I'll get doc in a minute. And this is how we can make a difference. Everybody, I appreciate your time. Leave a comment, click a like, find us anywhere where you get your podcasts. CLN is your number one cannabis YouTube for news and a news source. And we really want you have to get out there and do something, right? You have to do out and vote. I'm guilty of not caring too, and I'm actually seeing like leadership does matter, and we have a good chance the ball move forward. We're not there yet. There's so much more to do, and fuck, dude, you guys hang for an hour and a half while I read the longest, most painful document in the world. Go to de.gov, click on the proposed link, and put your comment, and then have fun reading the comments. They're fucking dumb. They're fucking horrible. But with that, I'm gonna find my little bumper that signs with the disclaimer. They're not the credits, and then fucking find us Sunday. Tom's got so much to talk about. We got more to talk about besides this one. There's hemp and the farm bill. Oh yeah, there's a lot more coming. Thanks, guys. You got it. You got it.